Welcome to the Journey to Iconic, the podcast about emotional self-leadership. This is where we explore the inner mechanics behind confidence, presence, emotional regulation, and self-trust. The skills that determine how you lead, communicate, and respond when life gets real. I'm Kirsten Barfoot, and this season isn't about self-help. It's about learning how to lead yourself so everything else in your life starts to align. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to this episode titled Why You Lose Authority When You React Instead of Pause. So authority is lost not because we're wrong, but because we mistake partial perception for truth. So let me say that again. Authority is lost not because we are wrong, but because we mistake partial perception for truth. So here's what I mean. You're a leader, you've made a decision, and you're moving forward. And then, unexpectedly, someone challenges you. It might be in a meeting, it might be in an email, it might be subtle or direct. And there's a moment, a split second, where you feel it in your body. There's an internal jolt that you may or may not be aware of. But almost immediately, something kicks in. You defend, you explain, you justify, or you might go completely blank. You either talk too much or you can't find your words at all. And what's important to understand here is this. Both of these responses are the same thing. They're not personality traits. They're not leadership styles. They're nervous system reactions, otherwise known as fight or flight. It's in that moment that without realizing it, authority starts to slip. This is the part that most leaders miss. You don't lose authority because the other person is right. You don't lose authority because you don't have a good answer. You lose the authority because you lost internally first. It's the moment your system goes into survival, the fight or flight. You lose the internal orientation and your attention collapses. Instead of being connected to the whole situation, you narrow down to one thing: survival. How do I fix this? How do I look competent? How do I regain control? And that's when the over-explaining starts. That's when the justifying starts. And that's when you feel the need that you need to prove something. Or on the other hand, you might freeze because your system is overwhelmed. Either way, the same thing is happening. You're reacting before you've actually perceived what's going on. And reaction feels powerful in the moment, but it's actually the weakest position. And there is a cost, because in that moment, you hand over the power to that other person, not because they demanded it, but because you gave it away. Authority collapses internally first, long before it shows up externally. So your response becomes outcome-driven and not perception-driven. And so you're no longer asking, what is happening here? You're asking, how do I make this stop? And the body is telling the story. Your attention narrows. Your thinking becomes myopic. You start grasping for certainty or approval. And here's the scientific anchor that matters. Your brain is processing around 11 bits of information per second, but your conscious mind is only about 10 to 50 bits per second. So there is a huge disparity there. So let that sink in, because when you react immediately, you're acting from the smallest possible slice of information available to you. And so there is that moment in between that holds the vital information, because speed feels decisive, but it's actually informationally poor. Reactivity is not clarity, it's acting on insufficient data. And leaders don't lose the authority because they move slowly. They lose authority because they move before they see the whole picture. So let me ground this. Imagine you're in a meeting, you've made a decision, and someone questions it publicly. The old move? You explain the reasoning, you justify the timeline, you add the context, you try to sound confident, but notice what is happening. You're responding to the pressure and not the perception of the entire picture. So now imagine a different move. You pause, you hold the tension, not dramatically, not awkwardly, just long enough to stay in your body. And you ask a clarifying question. Can you say more about what you're concerned about? That's it. It's not about defense, not about collapse, and not about dominating. And just notice something shift. Because authority was never about having the fastest answer. It was about being oriented enough to see the whole picture. And that pause doesn't weaken you. It signals composure. It signals leadership. It signals that you are not controlled by the moment. So here's the standard. Slow the moment, not the conversation. Stay with perception before the interpretation. Allow the interpretation to deepen, to take in more information. And this is the reorientation from I must respond now to what else is here that I haven't seen yet. Curiosity is not compliance. Curiosity is authority, because time gives you access to more information. And authority is not about being the first to speak. Authority is perception first, response second. So I'll leave you with the same line that we started with. Authority is lost not because we're wrong, but because we mistake partial perception for the truth. So carry that with you into that next moment of pressure.
Before you go, take a moment with this. Is there any area of your life where you're being asked to trust yourself more, even if it feels uncomfortable? That's often where self-leadership is actually built. I'm really glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Journey to Iconic podcast.